Hi, Algebra. In this lesson, we're going to be solving equations that have things that are being squared. So here we go. First thing I want to point out is in this first sentence here, Michael says that if n squared equals 36, then there's two possible numbers that n can be, 6 or negative 6. And I just want you to jot this down. That's because 6 times 6 is 36, and negative 6 times negative 6 is also 36, and negative times a negative is a positive. So we could say that 6 squared equals 36. That makes this equation true. We could also say that negative 6 squared equals 36, and that also makes that equation true. So that means when we get to what Lena's talking about here, an equation like this that's a little more complicated, we know that this part in the middle could be, in this case, 6, or this could be equal to negative 6. And that's because of all this stuff up here that we know about things being squared. So an equation like this is actually going to have two solutions, and that's what we're looking at today. Just like we've done before in solving equations, I'm going to cover up a part of this. So here I'm going to use my blue square. I'm going to cover up c plus 3. So now I'm thinking, what number squared, what number times itself gets me 64? So I know that 8 squared, 8 times 8 is 64. I also know that negative 8 squared, or negative 8 times negative 8, is going to be 64. So now, if I move my blue square away, I know that this part, c plus 3, it could be 8, or it could be negative 8. So that's what we're doing down here. We're saying that c plus 3 could equal 8, or it could equal negative 8. And now that I know this, I'm wondering what number plus 3 gets me 8, and that's going to be 5. And then over here, what number plus 3 gets me negative 8, and that's going to be negative 11. In number 2, we have y minus 1 all being squared equals 49. And I'm going to cover this middle part up. This is what I would cover up using my finger on my paper. So what number squared gets me 49? So I know that it could be 7, because 7 times 7 is 49. Or I know that it could be negative 7, because negative 7 times negative 7 would be a positive 49. And if I move my blue square away, now I know that y minus 1, that inside part, could be 7, or y minus 1 could be negative 7. And so now I have to figure out, what does y need to be? So in the first one, what number minus 1 gets me 7? And I know that that has to be 8. So y is going to equal 8. Or over here, y minus 7 is going to be equal to negative 7. So what does y need to be? What number minus 7 gets me negative 7? And I end up getting y equals 0. In number 4, I have 4x plus 2 being squared equals 100. So I'm going to cover this up, and I know that 10 squared is going to be 100, because 10 times 10 is 100. Or it could be negative 10 in the parentheses there, because negative 10 times negative 10 would be 100. And I'm going to move this away. So now I know that 4x plus 2, that middle part, could equal 10. Or 4x plus 2, that middle part in the parentheses, could equal negative 10. Now we have two equations here that we need to solve. This first one, I'm going to cover up the 4x. So I'm wondering what number plus 2 gets me 10. And I know that that 4x piece right here needs to be 8, because 8 plus 2 equals 10. So I know that 4x has to equal 8. And 4 times what number gets me 8? That's going to be 2. In the other equation, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cover up, and again, I would do this with my finger on my paper. Cover up 4x. So what number plus 2 gets me negative 12? So I know that this 4x piece here needs to equal negative 12, because negative 12 plus 2 is going to be negative 10. My new equation now is that part I circled, 4x, has to equal negative 12. So 4 times what number gets me negative 12? And I'm going to know that that is going to be negative 3. In number 5, we have 2 times all of this gets us 50. So first I'm wondering, 2 times what gets me 50? So I'm going to cover up that, and I realize that all of this right here needs to be equal to 25 because 2 times 25 is 50. So that part right there, h plus 3 squared, that all needs to equal 25. And so now I'm wondering, h plus 3, what does that piece need to equal? So what squared gets me 25? And I know that that's going to be either 5 or negative 5. So 5 times 5 is 25. Negative 5 times negative 5 is 25. And so now I know that that middle piece, h plus 3, can be 5 or it can be negative 5. And now I'm looking at down here, what number plus 3 gets us 5? That's going to be 2. Or what number plus 3 gets us negative 5? And that's going to be negative 8. So there's our two solutions to our equation.